I'm really bad at selling games. I need to sell a game or two right now because there's other things I'm wanting to buy. And A, I'm out of space. And B, I could use the money to, make it a little easier to buy what I want to buy. That and a bunch of other random musings here on episode number 79 of Coast to Coast Pinball. Let's go. Thank you for listening to Coast to Coast Pinball, episode number 79. My name is Nate Shivers. This is the podcast. It's commentary. I'm a man out of quarters. It's Easter Sunday. It's April 20th, which to some of my friends apparently means something more so than just Easter, but I digress. How is everyone doing? Things are returning to normal a little bit out here in San Diego. Teresa and I had a nice Easter weekend. We had a friend of ours' 40th birthday party yesterday. We went and had a nice Easter Italian lunch of sorts. We drove around some neighborhoods that we might want to live in someday, and we played some pinball, because that's what I do. We went to the Mira Mesa Bowl, and we played some pinball. They have a little row of 3 pinball machines at the Mira Mesa Bowl in the San Diego area, and we really went to play Lord of the Rings. That's the hook, because Teresa's sort of a sci-fi geek at heart, and it's a great game. It's a fantastic game. It's certainly my favorite George Gomez game, I'm thinking. I mean, what would be better than that? I like Batman a lot, actually. Stern Batman's game's good. Johnny Mnemonic's cool. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Monster Bash. Yeah, see? I thought I had something going there. No, Monster Bash is better. So Lord of the Rings is certainly my second favorite George Gomez game. It's funny if you go and look at all of his games, just to run off on a tangent here. He has some real distinct kind of feel and design aesthetics to his games. We talk about Lawler with the sort of the scoop shot and placement of the pop bumpers and upper playfield tens. He kind of has a feel, and certainly Steve Ritchie and his flow. And but George Gomez has a vibe to his games where you'll tend to have lots of sort of tight, compact shooting lanes and it might be sort of a fan layout in feel in parts of the game, but they're sort of hidden fan shots in a way. It's interesting. I kind of have an affinity for George Gomez games. It's one of the reasons I was probably so hard on the Avengers, because I thought that he just went out of his way to be a little too cute with it, and it didn't work. But Lord of the Rings works. Lots of interesting kind of places for the ball to go, and you don't really understand how the ball gets to place when you first play a game like Lord of the Rings, because it's sort of deep. And I don't mean rule set deep, which it's also, obviously, we all know Lord of the Rings is rule set deep, but just the layout of the game is sort of deep. So Teresa and I played some Lord of the Rings. I think we played 3 2-player games, and she beat me 2 out of the 3. Because I was sitting there cradling the ball, trying to hit exact shots, and certainly didn't have the shot geometry laid out in my head or feeling it in my hand. So I was missing and stuff, and she was just sort of doing her, we'll call it the Teresa flail, which was scoring more points than whatever I was doing. I was trying to complete modes and stuff, and it wasn't working, so I didn't play so hot. They also have an 8-ball champ there, which I don't really love that game. Didn't play it. And then they have a Shrek. Speaking of a Pat Lawler, scoop here, pop bumpers here, mini playfield here type of game. And when we were playing Shrek, Teresa, who doesn't know really who Pat Lawler is or really what he's designed, says, this game's kind of like Twilight Zone. And I'm like, hey, very astute of you. Very astute. So we did that, had a lot of fun, and I would own Lord of the Rings. There's some things about Lord of the Rings I don't like. There's some repetition in the call-outs and some of the things, like the Path of the Dead thing gets really annoying after a while. But obviously the rule set's deep. There's tons going on. There are lots of interesting shots to learn and to master. So that's definitely a game that I would like. It's just held its value so much. And at any given time, I can buy whatever new Stern is out for pretty much the same price I can buy Lord of the Rings. And, it's just how I end up. But I digress on all of that because I'm trying to sell games right now. Because I have a game I want to buy, and I'm hoping to make that happen really soon. And I'm probably going to do it either way, but I'd like to soften the financial blow of buying a game. by first getting rid of a game or two. And I've actually listed my Judge Dredd on the local Craigslist. And I got to tell you, I hate selling a game and also being the host of this podcast, because I've had multiple emails from people just going, "Is this Nate from Coast to Coast Pinball?" Because apparently some people in the San Diego area listen to the podcast and have heard me talk about my Judge Dredd and all the LEDs, and then saw it pop up on Craigslist next to a Twilight Zone in the photos and figured it was mine. So that makes it kind of weird. And I mean, it's okay. And I'm asking what I think is a very fair price. I'm asking $2,100. I would like to get $2,100. I don't want to do a ton of negotiating. It has a couple $100 or more in LEDs in the game. It plays great. Every shot's really good. The playfield's in fantastic shape. I don't have a topper, and I don't have a Dead World mod installed. It's very much factory original minus topper. There's fade around the cabinet, but the cabinet's in really good shape. The actual artwork is in great shape, but it's faded. But the translight's good. Everything else is really good. The screen's great. Everything's good. And in Southern California, $2,100 is a pretty good price, I think, for a game that I can guarantee is in nice shape. There's one LED that sort of tends to come on and off sometimes in one of the drop target notifier LEDs. I don't really know how to fix it, because I actually pulled the whole LED board and tried to get that to work right. And sometimes it's on fine and it'll run for days and days and days, and sometimes it's sort of weak. And I will be disclosing that, of course, to whoever buys, because I don't want there to be any surprises. So $2,100. If it doesn't sell for a week or so, maybe I take $2,000. We'll see. Part of me wants to just throw it up on eBay as a no reserve. I hate to pay the eBay fees, but at least then I don't have to do the dance with people coming over to my place and testing it and playing it. Last time I sold a couple games, I literally had people coming to my place, and this was pre Coast to Coast Pinball, so they didn't know who I was or anything. I got the feeling they were just coming to my place to play pinball. They were not there to buy the game, and it was a little frustrating. This one guy brought over 3 friends with him, and they all took turns playing, and they just thought it was so fun and so cool. And I'm a salesman by trade, so I was trying to close the guy, and I was just quickly getting the vibe early on that he was not in the market to actually spend money on a pinball machine, and that was frustrating. So I sort of hate selling games. I wish I had a lot of space, because I would just keep them all. I told that to Teresa today. I said, I'm just going to stick one at my friend's house. And but I'm trying to buy a game. Trying to buy a game that's a pretty decent price too, and I would love to get a couple grand out of Judge Dredd and put that towards what I'm buying. So we'll talk more about that as that transaction comes closer, because I'm excited about that. Might sell Bride of Pinbot too. Haven't totally decided. I'm if the Bride of Pinbot 2.0 upgrade kit from Dutch Pinball was $1,000. I would not sell Bride of Pinbot. I would buy the kit, upgrade it, and see what happens, see what I think. But the fact that it's quite a bit more than that, I think it's closer to 16, 17, 18. I forget what the exchange is from euros to dollars right now, but it's a lot of money. So I don't know. But anyway, I'm working on it. I'm trying to sell some games. Played some pinball today with Teresa. It was a lot of fun. And I got to get to this mailbag. I'm looking at mail that has not been read on this show since March 13th, and that's a long time, so let's do this.
Check the email.
And what better way to start off checking the email than with a friend of the show, long-time listener, often-time emailer, man I met very briefly at the Midwest Gaming Classic, Mr. Joe Zenkus. So he was replying to some episode I did over a month ago, and I'll just go drop right into his email and we'll just discuss what he's talking about. He says, everyone complains about fire. Oh, because he told me he had a fire, and I think I asked him if he liked fire. And he says, everyone complains about fire not having pop bumpers. I could care less about pop bumpers. And when I think about that, Joe, I actually think everyone complains about Judge Dredd not having pop bumpers. But anyway, and the mirrored layout, because it's symmetrical. The fact that it has 2 steep ramps, a horseshoe in the back, and then a fast, large horseshoes in the middle, with raising ramps like Trudeau used for Mustang, and then the drawbridge ladder in the back, it's actually not a bad game. My wife's father used to be a volunteer firefighter, so of course she's in love with that theme. The bell on top is really loud during the end of ball bonus. No wonder why some people disconnect it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then he links me to the Papa video, which I have not watched. So he says, I guess I like simple pinball. Hence why I buy a lot of System 11, but not so simple that I go back to EMs. I was talking to my pinball partner at Banger J's Olympics last Saturday, and he's like, okay, I like to get to know my partners. So what's your favorite game? And I'm like, well, favorite one I own or favorite one, period. And he's like, either. So I'm reading Joe's whole email. This is probably not great radio. Anyway, eventually, I'm trying to find out what the answer was. And he said, the favorite one that he done is Whirlwind. And he said, that's my favorite too. So basically saying that Whirlwind, simple. You know, there's an Earthshaker for sale in Southern California right now that I was looking at and trying to imagine if I would like having an Earthshaker or a Whirlwind in my place. Maybe. They're cool games. They're good games, I think, for people who don't play a lot of pinball, because they're sort of friendly looking. And Joe said that he likes Space Shuttle a lot, too. It's one he said he'd never get rid of. So, anyway. Yeah, I don't know the game Fire really well. I've played it a few times. I'll have to give that another look next time I'm out in New Hampshire, because I know they have it at the Pinball Wizard Arcade. Thank you, Joe. I do appreciate all the emails to the show. They're well appreciated. All right, going through the emails here. I've read that on the show. All right, so I listened to, this is from Chad. Chad writes, Nate, I listened to the show and agree with your thoughts on Wizard of Oz being somewhat like Twilight Zone in the way it plays and overall layout, so I can see why you would not have them both in the same lineup, especially if you only had 2 games. I also understand what you're saying about if you're not in the theme, how difficult it is to get into the game. I have that same problem with Tales from the Crypt, but I'm going to go back based on your last review. I grew up with The Wizard of Oz and loved the movie, so I'm very interested in the theme and the way they've implemented. The new rules make the extra ball mode more difficult to achieve and more gratifying. They've also added a ton of callouts. The game itself is extremely deep, with 4 rainbow modes, 5 crystal ball modes, 4 haunted forest modes, rescue mode, multi-ball, 3 witch fights, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so Chad's email is not the only one I've gotten in the past while that talk about The Wizard of Oz, and have asked me if I've played 3.0 and what my thoughts are on Wizard of Oz 3.0. And yes, I have played. I've played it quite a bit at different places. I think the game is finished. I think it's awesome. I think it's got a lot going on. It's definitely, you're getting your money's worth with The Wizard of Oz. I think if anybody said to me, I'm into the theme, I want to buy this game, it's a wide body, it's Wizard of Oz, I'm going to drop $8 to $9 on it, is that a good idea? Once you say you're into the theme and you want to buy the game, then yeah, if you can afford that game, buy Wizard of Oz. There's enough going on, I think, to make a home buy on that game definitely worthwhile. I actually, everyone's saying that it's doing well on location and that people are making money on location. And that's awesome, because I think that the screen and the lights and the toys are probably what's driving it. Because no one's ever seen a pinball machine with a screen in it like that, showing, HD video in the back box. So I think that that's probably a lot of what's driving people to play it. I think it could do even better with a different theme myself, and possibly a little different gameplay. I'm not in love with the gameplay of Wizard of Oz. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I've tried. I want to. It doesn't. I don't know what the heck I'm shooting at. It's not intuitive. I think they've missed some steps with possible ideas to, use big arrows on the screen to tell me what to do, what to shoot at. Everything feels like it's lit up all at once. Is it a cool game? It's an awesome game. I think it's a fantastic game. It's Jack's first attempt. I think he hit it out of the ballpark. But for me personally, I would not go out of my way to own Wizard of Oz. I just couldn't. It's just the money doesn't justify the game to me. The game is not something that I am like super, super stoked about. And I have a lot of listeners who own Wizard of Oz, and they're probably, wanting to smash their MP3 playing device right now. I'm not criticizing the game as far as you spending your money on it. Just for me personally, with my situation, not a game I would own. But you know what? When I'm in arcades where it's free play, like or where you pay a flat fee, Modern Pinball in New York, Pinball Wizard in New Jersey, Asbury Park, New Jersey, wherever I am, if I'm at a show, I always play it. I do play it because I think it's so relevant. It's a piece of history. It's moving the game forward, the hobby of pinball forward. I do want to play the game. I'm trying to get better at it too, because I think part of my problems with it early on is I wasn't any good at it. I think it's hard. I think the game's really hard, which, and I don't mean hard as in you just got to get the hang of it and then it gets easy. I think it's just a hard layout. I think the shots are long. I think they're pretty precise. I think there's a lot of left drains. I mean, that left outlane is just brutal. So I think it's a very difficult game, which for the home buyer is probably a good thing. So that is kind of my thoughts on Wizard of Oz as it is now. I think if you're just getting your game and 3.0 is really all you know, you're in for a treat. And if you started out early on with the code updates, you've been very happy as it's progressed through. So cannot wait to play The Hobbit. I gotta tell you, I like the theme better. I can already tell by the Whitewood videos that we've seen that have been posted. If you haven't seen the Hobbit Whitewood videos that have the little Medieval Madness trolls popping up in the Whitewood, you should go check it out. It's cool. I think it's going to be a fun game. Looks like it's going to flow nicely. I'm interested to see how much more they show us of The Hobbit between now and, say, September, October. That game's supposed to come out in December, I believe. That's when the third Hobbit movie hits theaters, and so they're supposed to have it out winter of this year. And that, we're getting to the point where they're going to have prototypes up and going in the next month or two. I would think to start getting all the parts going to make sure everything's done. I say this as if I know how to build a pinball machine. So I'm excited though. I'm totally bullish on Jersey Jack. I think things are good over there right now. All right, I am hopping through emails here. All right, Sean. Sean writes me, love the show, thanks for putting on. I decided to come to you to get your opinion. I hope I've replied to Sean. Doesn't look like I have. Sorry, Sean. What a good friend I am. All right, so be warned, this is a long email. We'll see what we can do for the show here. This past weekend, I was discussing with my wife that I really wanted to buy a pinball machine. Her response, I know. I guess she's taken notice of the pinball arcade I've been playing, as well as my enthusiasm about the Louisville Expo a few weeks ago. So Sean's wanting to buy a game. So he says she basically told him he could get whatever he wanted with two stipulations. Stipulation number 1, kid-friendly theme. So no South Park, Family Guy, Baywatch, etc. We don't have kids yet, but we intend to in a few years. Dude, you'll flip your machine within a few years, I promise. Don't worry about that. We also have a few friends with kids, and if they want to play it, we don't want the parents feeling awkward. Okay, all right. Fair enough. Stipulation number 2 for Sean and his wife for getting a pinball machine. I need to really get my money's worth. Really was capitalized here, so he needs to really get his money's worth. This came up when discussing Tron and how it runs around 5K. She didn't seem to care, but she brought up some good points regarding cost, staying power, etc. We also talked about games and what our thoughts were. She's not really a pinhead, but she'll play whatever I get. Lord of the Rings is out for a few reasons, but the biggest reason is I simply can't stand the theme. I don't like Lord of the Rings. Metallica isn't really kid-friendly. No, it's not. And we don't really have any connection to the music. I don't mind it, but she doesn't like it. Same could be said for AC/DC. Wizard of Oz is also a theme that neither of us care for, so that knocks out some of the huge hitters. I also should mention that I'm not going to grab 2 or 3 machines instead of one expensive one. I'm not really considering the budget or cost of a machine, I'm more considering the life of it. We don't really have room for 2 machines. One day we might, but that day is not anywhere close, so keep that in mind. So I have read this email, and I really wanted to use it for the show, and it's probably why I haven't replied. There's so many games out there. I see a lot of people discussing how they get a game for years and flip it. That's not always and that's always an option, fine. But I'm thinking outside of that realm, Sean says. I'm looking for a game that will always be in my collection. All right. This will be the first machine I've ever owned, so that's daunting in and of itself, he says. He's been discussing it on Pinside, finding a deep game. I don't know if Sean has bought a game yet. He lists some older games in this email that he really enjoyed. Taxi, Terminator 2, Theater of Magic, Tales of the Arabian Nights. He says really a lot of Season 1 in Pinball Arcade. I've gotten a few recommendations for Pirates of the Caribbean and even Shrek. I've never seen or even played one of those. I played Shrek today. Anyway, sorry for the long email. No problem. Sean, I don't know if you bought a game yet. You sent me this email a while back, about a month ago. And I would say that if you can afford a Theater of Magic or Tales of the Arabian Nights, those are both great choices if you're willing to drop the money. They're classics. They're always going to hold their value, I think. Are they incredibly deep games? No. They're not incredibly deep, but they are definitely... There's a lot going on there, and there's modes to work your way through and work on, and I think there's different approaches to those games, so I think both of those are really good. Terminator 2, I wouldn't say as much. That's a game that once you really learn the shot geometry and the feel, you can tear that machine apart. I've played that game, for the last 20 years, and I jumped on it somewhere. I don't even remember where I was recently. It was like one of a couple games at a bar somewhere I was traveling. And I like racked up some giant score on Terminator 2 and got on the leaderboard just from kind of, muscle memory on that game. Taxi, Diner, those are cool games, certainly cool games, but if I'm going to buy one game and think I'm always going to have it, it's not going to be Taxi or Diner, probably. I don't know. He said he also eyeballed Avengers. That has a neat looking theme. I wouldn't do it. If I was going to buy Avengers, I would skip Avengers and I'd buy X-Men. X-Men, I think, would be the better game there. I think Star Trek is not a bad option either. I don't know how you feel about Star Trek. Obviously, I'm going to say Twilight Zone if you're into Twilight Zone, for sure. If you want to spend the money on Attack from Mars, I think Attack from Mars would be a great game. It's an interesting question because usually when people are asking me what their first game should be, they're trying to spend a little less money, where I think Sean is trying to buy the game. Pirates of the Caribbean, not a game I love. It's okay. Shrek, again, honestly, if I was going to buy Shrek, I would buy Twilight Zone, or even, I hate to say this, I'd buy Monopoly before I'd buy Shrek, probably. So, I don't know. I don't know if I have a really great answer for you. I hope that you find what you're looking for. A lot of it's, if you're buying, an older game, a lot of it's going to depend on what's for sale around you. If you're buying new, I would look at X-Men Pro or find an X-Men LE. There's an X-Men LE in San Diego right now on Craigslist that's in fantastic shape for $5,200. So I think that'd be a great option right there if you're into the X-Men at all. So those are kind of my ideas. I think Transformers LE is a lot of pin for the money. Not a game I'm like madly in love with, but there's enough to do there, enough rule set going on that I think you could, definitely keep yourself occupied and feel pretty good about that. Then there's games like, World Poker Tour is a value game, I think, with pretty good rule set. Again, another one where I don't love the gameplay, World Poker Tour, but I think, bang for your buck and what's going on, that's a good one. Spider-Man, if you can find it, great one, one game collection type game. Batman, same way. There's a lot of good Stern's set. Stern's Indiana Jones. It gets a little, beaten on, but I think it's a fun game. So you got a lot of options. A lot of it will depend on, of course, what you can find out there. So best of luck, Sean. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the email. Let's see. Looking here. Tom was just saying thanks for the show. I'm way back to when Arizona was still playing in the NCAA tournament. I had a lot of people wishing me luck on that. Jumping back to Joe Zenkus, he had feedback on episode 73. He said, here's my take on the Planetary Pinball remakes. On one hand, we shouldn't be going back, we should be moving forward. On another hand, someone needs to keep prices in check, Medieval Madness being the number one target besides Big Bang Bar. Here's another view that I don't know that anyone has really talked about. Replacement parts. You have CPR making playfields, back glasses, and plastic sets, but what if you want toys, or ramps, or brackets? If for nothing else, remaking an existing pinball allows them to make sure every replacement part they make will fit, and they can continue to sell those through distributors. Huge cash cow for aftermarket parts. Yes, he says he sold a pair of Fire New Old Stock houses for $200. With all the mods up in the air from Gene Cunningham, I'm pretty certain Planetary Pinball just wants to make collectors happy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, absolutely. He's wondering about, Joe's wondering about Big Bang Bar. I said it's not an impossible remake. I don't think Big Bang Bar is an impossible remake. I think it might just be a less simplistic remake, a remake that's not as easily done. I think obviously Attack from Mars and Cactus Canyon are probably easier to remake. We'll see what the Planetary Pinball Supplies does next. And then I guess Joe was commenting on some of the stuff I'd commented out of the Texas show. Safecracker, he says, I love Pat Lawler, never really liked this game. I don't like the times mode. I don't like the cramped playfield. Thing that's sort of cool is that it does award the tokens when they drop down the slot. Yeah, I like Safecracker. It's funny because I really like it, but would I ever own it? Probably not. No, probably not. And then Joust. Joe's like me, absolutely loves this game. Something about two people playing simultaneously that really makes it fun. I agree. Totally awesome. Joust is fantastic. So what else we got here? I have so many emails, and I've replied to some. I'm not doing a good job of this email show thing here. Oh, that's like a personal invite to someone's house. I probably won't read that on the show. Shane wrote me, very sad to hear about Python's passing when I woke up this morning. I'm sure you're already aware of it. Might be a nice touch to do a review of one or lots of his older machines. At least put a picture of one of them in episode image. Yeah, I did that, and I tried to take just sort of a more of a solemn approach to Python Angelo passing away. And I heard some of the guys from the forum I hosted at the Midwest Gaming Classic discussing it and how bummed out they were. I think they had just gone to the funeral the day before, and it's too bad. I mean, Python was so unique in his art and in his design ideas and just in his personality. Real, sort of mad genius of pinball. And it's one of the cool things about this hobby and about this little tiny niche industry we're in. There are some really neat people, and he was certainly one of them who was never afraid to, say what he was going to say. So it was really too bad about Python passing away. All right, let's see. I had an email here. I was starting to feel a little guilty having games on 5-ball because I always say 5-ball is cheating. So I could see more of the game until you said you give extra balls for scoring points instead of replays. I think that might be a wash, just saying. Now hold on a minute. Hold on here, Mr. PSU Pinball Chad. Maybe. Like tonight, my Twilight Zone right now, you get an extra ball. I think the number right now is like 308 million. So you got to really get a ways. I think that's how pinball should be. That's my personal opinion. I like the idea of when I get somewhere in the game, I get rewarded by being able to extend that game. And Roger Sharp brought it up at the Texas Pinball Festival, how he thinks games should be designed that way instead of replays, because replays are giving away profit, and you should keep people in that game just with one extra ball. So I think of it as an extra challenge for a home use game to have it set up to give me an extra ball at some, high number of scoring. And is that sort of cheating? I guess. But 5-ball to me is just a little bit too much, because on 5-ball, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot of extra balls. You can also gain extra balls through the game. On modern games, it doesn't feel right to me. It just sort of feels wrong. It feels like it should be 3 balls. But touche. I grant it. I grant you that it could be construed also as cheating. Noah wrote me here. Well, the time has come. Whodunit was released last month on the Pinball Arcade. The table plays flawlessly with little to no issues. The table is quite a bit floaty, but this is also true of the actual table, so don't expect a lightning fast game like Star Trek or Black Knight 2000. The next table has officially been confirmed to be high speed, the well-remembered 86 Classic by Steve Ritchie. Also during the stream, I guess they posted a stream of high speed. There's a Farsight created poll. The poll provided 3 options for Williams tables: Cyclone, Earthshaker, Diner, and asked you to vote for one of them. So far, Earthshaker is ahead of Diner by just a nose. There may be no chance of seeing Cyclone or Diner. I would hope they make Earthshaker before Cyclone or Diner. Cyclone is not a standout to me. It's not one of my favorite games. Diner's okay. I'm alright with Diner, but Earthshaker out of those would definitely be the one I'd be looking for. In other news, and I believe Noah is up from the New England area, because he says Lanes and Games, and that's in the... I'm blanking on the suburb, but in the Boston area. Totally blanking on the suburb right now. It'll come to me in a minute. Lanes and Games in the Boston area just received a Mustang from Stern yesterday. Not much to say besides that. Go play for yourself. Robot City has 2 new games, Twilight Zone and Wizard of Oz. And the Pinball Wizard just received Jurassic Park and is in the process of working on it. It's one of his favorites, Noah says. So, Mustang at Lanes and Games. That's cool. I'll be up in Boston in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, something like that. Lanes and Games gets all the new games. It's a fantastic place. It's an expensive place to play pinball. Everything's 75 cents a play, I believe. Maybe $1 a play on some of them. 75 cents, whatever. But I'm okay playing expensive games if they're well kept and they have all the latest titles, and I know that my money's going to support someone who's trying to bring in the latest, greatest. I'm okay with that. I've played a lot of Mustang since it's been released now. I've had my opportunity. And as much as I stand by what I said about the theme before I knew anything about the game, not a huge fan of the Mustang theme. Doesn't really do it for me. Not really my scene. I don't know who Tanner Faust is. The game plays very fast. It's fun. It's probably going to be a good tournament game, from what I can tell. Do I love all the colors and the art? No, I don't love the artwork. So there's just sort of two major strikes against that game for me, and it's the theme and the art. I think John Trudeau got rushed on that game. I've heard him give interviews on other podcasts where he said he was rushed. I think he, in the forum that I hosted with him, you could tell that he was a little defensive about people, I think, quickly judging that game and maybe it getting a bad rap right off the bat from people who hadn't played it. And he's probably exactly right, because the game does play really good, really well. It's fun. It's fast. It's a great follow-up to Star Trek, actually. So if you weren't into the sci-fi stuff, but you want a fast, modern, stirring game, I think Mustang will probably do you very well. I've had reports from some of my friends and listeners in Australia that Mustang is doing well in Australia on location, and at tournaments, people are really into it. So I think once you play Mustang, it is a game that's enjoyable and is fun. I played it in New York City at Modern Pinball like over and over and over that first night I got to play it. And it's certainly, to me, a game that if I was in old style World of Pinball, if this was 1991 and I was going to my local bowling alley or restaurant that had a game or two, and that was the only game or two they had was Mustang Pinball, I'd be very happy. It's a fun game. Like, I was playing Shrek today. And if Shrek was like the only game where I wouldn't be that happy. Because not only does that theme annoy me, I don't love the way that game particularly plays, and the callouts drive me nuts. I don't like the music. Mustang, the callouts are what they are. The music is sort of limited on the Pro. There's only 4 songs. One of them's Motorhead. But it definitely plays challenging and has some fun shots to go for. I'm cool with it. There's some quirks about the game. I don't love the whirlpool thing at the end where the little donuts are, or the ball, kind of the creature from the Black Lagoon thing that John Trudeau brought to Mustang, where the ball zips around. There's a switch in that little whirlpool thing that every time it goes around, it revs the engine or whatever. I don't know that I love that there. It's good for multi-ball, so there's a ball down. I don't love it in normal gameplay. The scoop shot's sort of a challenge where it is, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. And again, I've probably said this on the show 3 or 4 times. I don't love drop targets dead center like that. I know I played Mustang in the tournament at the Clock Chaos tournament at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and I was saving that for one of my last games because I've played it a bunch, thought I knew what I was doing, and those drop targets just killed me. Like 2 out of my 3 balls, like off the drop targets, straight down the middle. Burned me. Didn't do so well. So, in any case, I appreciate the heads up. I have actually not downloaded Whodunit yet. It's been out for a couple weeks on the Pinball Arcade, so I need to do that. And I have a flight coming up to New York this week, so I'll probably get Whodunit. I mean, what game isn't like more cut out for virtual pinball than Whodunit, which is sort of a game you progress through and try and solve the mystery. I think that's pretty awesome. Whodunit, not a game I probably would ever need to own. Game I love to play when I see it on location, especially if it's kept up right. And definitely kind of a perfect game for Pinball Arcade. So thank you, Noah. I do appreciate that. I'm just jumping all over this mail bag. And the problem with the way I'm doing this is that I won't remember where I was. Okay, so Cole wrote me. Hey Nate, I talked to you a bit ago and I just finished my first episode of the show. I talked to you about Dread, still haven't defeated death. I'm somewhere in the 40s now. You're doing a great job. So he's way back in the 40s. It's nice for those of us without local pins on location to hear that there are still some great spots to play. I really like all the trip reports. I also attached some pictures of an extra Pearl Jam poster I got from the Seattle tour from the Backspacer tour. I know you're a fan, so I wanted to check to see if you wanted to do a trade. This is good. I like where this is going. Either another Pearl Jam poster or for a Coast to Coast tee or two. My friend and I each got a poster, and I ended up with hers. None of my friends like Pearl Jam enough to want it, and I don't have a use for two of the same night poster. That's a fantastic offer, Cole. I will email Cole, and we will discuss the possibilities of me getting this Pearl Jam poster. It's from one of the Seattle shows, and I believe it has like a basketball player on it. Little side note trivia: Pearl Jam was originally going to call their band Mookie Blaylock originally, which was the name of a basketball player. So, yeah, I'll have to get in touch there. Thank you. We may have to do that, right? Appreciate you listening, Cole. Jumping up here. Oh, somebody has an inheritance project for you. I just need to email them all my personal information. A little bit of spam. Gotta love it. All right. This is Robert from Australia. He was one of the guys telling me about how Mustang's gone over really well down there. He also says that Lucy was also down there, the AC/DC Lucy version. So he said he was a volunteer scorekeeper at the pinball competition being run there. This was at the Melbourne's running of the Australia's Supernova, an event much like Comic-Con. So picture Comic-Con, but with Australians. The machines were a mix of Mustang Pro and Star Trek Pro for the tournament. Under 18s had their own competition, and they supervised that. What surprised me was the young teens' reaction to Mustang. They all preferred Mustang to Star Trek. When it came to the finals, those allocated game on Star Trek were disappointed, while those on Mustang expressed relief. It wasn't that they didn't like Star Trek. Rather simply, they preferred Mustang, feeling like they knew what to do on Mustang. So that goes to the easy to learn, hard to master, which is actually what he says in the next paragraph. And yeah, I guess Mustang is sort of easier to learn in that to hit those drop targets to start multi-ball. There's a scoop with a lit sign above it telling you what happens if you hit the scoop. I, however, had some issues like trying to figure out how to light the Mustang letters. And somebody wrote me an email at one point telling me that they didn't know either. And then I think I might have gotten another email on how they did it. So I think Star Trek's really easy to figure out what to do. If all somebody has to tell you is shoot what's blinking. They use those Star Trek insignia inserts on Star Trek really, really well with the color changing LEDs. So when you're in, the narrow mode or whatever, and it's purple, for instance, and I don't know if narrow is purple or not, there's a bunch of purple triangles flashing at you. If you're in, Klingon whatever mode, or that's not Klingon, that's not one of the modes. But if you're in the red mode, there's a bunch of red things flashing. Save Our Ship is blue or green or whatever. I like that about Star Trek, that I can quickly and sort of safely glance up and look to where I need to be shooting to either complete the mode I'm in, or lock a ball if lock is lit, or attack the ship. I think they did a really good job on Star Trek of doing that. So he kind of asked me if I think Mustang could be a sleeper. I talked about it, possibly. And, I don't think it'll be a sleeper like Iron Man was. Iron Man was the true sleeper that everyone sort of ripped on and said, oh, it's just like an EM layout. And now everyone's like, I want an Iron Man, because Iron Man's awesome. I don't know that Mustang has that. Maybe it does. I could be wrong. We'll see. Thank you for the email, Rob. I do appreciate it. And he says, say hello to Shane. Very cool. All right. Moving on, I have some Coast to Coast t-shirt email orders in here. So people have ordered t-shirts, and you can do that too. I have shirts for sale. Mostly I have the lighter gray shirt with the really dark navy writing, but I do have a few of the dark gray shirts with black writing left. So Daniel Fenton wrote me, and whose last name I just said on air. Sorry, bro. He said he's checked out episode 78. Where can I see this Crypt Keeper mod in action? I see nothing about it on Pinside or the DK site. Later, Dan. Well, if the guys from DK Pinball are listening, they should put up a video of the Crypt Keeper mod, because I don't think I took any photos or videos of it. I might have a photo of it. I'll look through my photos, Dan, and see if I have that. It was above the. I need to look at a Tales from the Crypt layout so I can tell you exactly where it was. But it was a little Crypt Keeper doll that was sort of split in the middle, and he turned, like his top half had like a pointing arm maybe, and he turned, and he was mounted, I believe, above either the scoop that's just next to the left ramp, or he was mounted above the left ramp, right in there somewhere. I'll have to go look, see if I have photos of that. But it was cool because they had him tracking your shots where you needed to go. He would point towards, whichever shot was the next important shot. So if you needed to shoot the crypt, he would be pointing kind of that way to his left. If you needed to shoot the left orbit, he would turn and point over there. It was really cool. It just looked like it should have been there to begin with. So I like that a lot. It added a nice little third dimension to one of my favorite Data East games of all time. So I will do what I can. And if the DK pinball guys are listening, they should do that too. Because that was, to me, from the DK pinball stuff, one of the cool things that I could see people really getting excited about and possibly wanting to, people to buy a product from DK like the Pig 2 or something like that. So very cool. Alright, just some housekeeping here before we wrap up this sort of drawn-out mailbag episode of Coast to Coast Pinball. So, coming up this weekend, today, so we're recording this Sunday night, the 20th. This weekend, Friday the 24th through Sunday the 26th of April 2014, is Pinball at the Zoo, which is located in Kalamazoo, Michigan, at the Kalamazoo County Expo Center on the fairgrounds. I've had some great emails throughout the course of this show telling me that that's a really fun one to go to. They've been running it, I think, for, I want to say this is like the 13th or 14th year, something like that. So Pinball at the Zoo looks like a lot of fun. I know they have tournaments with Whopper points. They have a Classics tournament, a youth tournament. It's the same type of deal as most of the shows. If you bring a pinball game that they can use in tournaments or in the free play area, you get them free. They will be running the tournament. The main tournament will qualify from, it actually starts on Thursday, so Thursday and Friday, and then until noon Saturday, and then the playoffs actually start. Vendors who will be at Pinball at the Zoo already, they have a list on their website. You can go to pinballathezoo.com, but you see Coin Taker, Terry from Pinball Life, listed as Gene Cunningham and Illinois Pinball. We'll see about that. Trent Augenstein, Great Lakes Modular, Epic Amusement, some bunch of different Marco Specialties. So a bunch of different vendors will be there. Be interested to see how many games they get on. If you go to Pinball at the Zoo, I would love to hear from you. Shoot me an email. Let me know how it was. That might be on the calendar for next year. Could not make that happen this year. As far as what's coming up after that, PinFest in Allentown, a lot of people call it the Allentown Show, is May 2nd and 3rd. I really had been planning on trying to make that happen, and it just couldn't. So I know they'll have a great show there. Definitely a player's show from everything that I've ever heard. Pinagogo up here in Northern California is May 16th to the 18th at the Dixon Fairgrounds in Dixon, California. The Ann Arbor Pinball Showcase Festival, I am fairly certain, I don't know a lot about that other than I believe that is the Clay Harrell VFW Pinball project, which Coast to Coast Pinball was on the Kickstarter for. Clay has that place set up, running and going, and he's going to be hosting, a few things a year where you can get in. I know the zoning was that he can't just have his arcade open all the time. It has to be sort of special events. And Friday, May 16th through Sunday, May 18th is going to be the first one. So check out vfwpinball.com if you're in the Michigan area or planning on being a part of that. There's also the IFPA 11 World Pinball Championships at the Game Exchange of Colorado in May. You look out to June, and you've got the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show in Tacoma, Washington, which I will be in attendance for. Confirmed that, finally, flying in on Saturday, so I'll hit the second half of the day Saturday, and then the whole, most of the day Sunday. I got to fly out Sunday. So, but I definitely want to be a part of that. Been in contact with them. Definitely going to do some shows based around the Northwest Pinball Show. I've heard nothing but good about that show. Very excited to get up there. And then a week after that is the Southern Fried Game Room Expo, hosted by the great guys over there at the the Game Room Junkies podcast. Game Room Junkies are Patrick and Preston, and they have a fantastic podcast based on not just pinball, not just arcades, but the game rooms that your arcades and pinballs are in. So check out GameRoomJunkies.com. I'm 90% sure I'm going to make it out to that. 90%. That one's going to be tough, but I'm trying. I also donated to their Kickstarter, so I actually think I have free entrance to that. I need to go, right? Billy Mitchell from the King of Con documentary arcade movie is going to be there. They are looking to put on quite the show, so I think that's going to be pretty awesome. John Trudeau's special guest at that show. They're guaranteeing over 100 pinball and arcade machines. I have a feeling they'll probably do better at that than that. That's in Atlanta in June, summertime in hot Atlanta. So that's all for me. If you'd like to email me, you can always email me directly at coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. We have a website. On the website, we now have a videos page. You can see all of that at coast2coastpinball.com. And the videos page will have videos I've been doing of early sneak peek looks at games from different shows, walkthroughs of shows. I'm actually posting these podcast episodes in video form on YouTube, but don't get excited. There's actually no video, just a static image. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One reason is I had some people email me from other countries, actually, who said the easiest way for them to listen or see something from the U.S. is actually just through YouTube, which I thought was interesting. So I did that. And then the more I thought about it, YouTube, if you actually research this, gets more searches than any other website except for Google on the entire internet. So if people are on YouTube searching pinball or searching something that might be in one of our podcast show notes or episodes, great place for them to maybe stumble upon Coast to Coast Pinball, which might get them listening to pinball, which might get them out playing pinball, which can only be good for all of this, right? So if you see videos of Coast to Coast Pinball that are just a static image and the same thing you already heard on your podcast player, that's why I'm doing that. Until we talk again, go out and play some pinball. Keep your games cleaned. 5 balls cheating. Extra ball at a high score is not cheating. I think we established that. Mustang's okay. Star Trek's better. What else is there? I'm sure there's other things. Teresa beat me in Lord of the Rings today, and she needs to come on the show soon. And other than that, thank you for listening. Talk to you again soon. Take care. Wait, where am I? Who are all these people? Oh, I think I fell asleep doing the show again. I'm dreaming. This is all just a dream. And see, this guy is going to say something weird, and I'm going to wake up.
I thought Victoria deserved a good whooping.
Oh, did she now? Well, I can't say that I've met Victoria.
Walter never knew he had a daughter back in England.
Wait, now, is Victoria Walter's daughter from England? She the one that needs the whooping?
Who are you?
What do you mean, who am I? I'm Nate. It's my dream, my podcast. This is my place. Who are you?
Tony had a history of swindling his partners.
Wait, Tony now? You're jumping all over the place. I can't keep track. Wait, who's this?
I know Tony is hiding something in the basement.
Okay, so you know Tony too. But do you know Walter or the daughter?
I did not mind Father roughing up Victoria from time to time.
Wait, so... hold on. So you do know Victoria, and your dad used to, hit her and stuff? What?
When Father beat Victoria, everyone thought she was the victim. How's that for irony?
Wait, I have no idea what you mean by irony. How is that ironic? And what about Walter?
When Walter reappeared, he was butler.
Well, I'm talking to her, but when he reappeared from where? And he was a butler, or he was named Butler?
Tony's first partner was Walter.
Oh, and now the British girl just butts in and starts talking about Tony and Walter being partners. This needs to stop. I need help. Can anybody help me out here?
Hey, what did you call my mother?
Oh, not you. Who let this guy in here? Come on.
Look, your shoes are untied.
No, stop that.
I'm back, Jack.
Yes, I see that. Boy, I'd really like to get out of here without an incident. You and I don't have the greatest of history.
Oh, that hurts.
Hey man, truth's the truth. Like, I can't even be around you without you trying to start some sort of fight every single time.
I'm mad now.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. You've got some issues, dude.
Do you wish to challenge me?
No, we've been through this. No, I don't. I just want to wake up at this point.
Monsieur, I challenge you to a duel.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was coming. Look, I gotta go, man.
You're nothing but a fish.
A fish. You're gonna call me a fish. That's it. I'm out. See ya. Goodbye. No more.
What's going on?
Victoria had an ongoing affair with Tony.
Well done.
I believe Tony is hiding something in the basement.